This is the air cleaner box. Inside, obviously. And you've got your, your rotational fans there, the cyclone stuff. But from the moment I opened it up, I've had a problem with this design. And it stems right there, that particular crack. You have got almost 4 inches of that air cleaner that is essentially completely blocked. It has to pull air through this little crack. How many of you have taken these apart to inspect or replace them and found them really only dirty from here to here? I bet a few. I know mine are. So I wanted something different. And it dawned on me, once I'd taken the filter out, I'm sure it's a fine filter, and I'm sure it's what the manual called for, but it's not a particularly excellent filter. It's a dated filter. So I went out to look for a separate one. Trust me, I believe I said it in one of the posts, there is no substitute for a bigger straw when trying to suck your milkshake, especially you guys with the turbos. Man, this thing right here, this thing is dogging you down. I'm going to pull it out. I'll try to show you why, and I'll show you what I'm replacing it with and why I'm going to do it. Here's the filter I've come up with as a replacement. It is an AF 2535-4. Runs about half of the Donaldson. They both have 8 pleats per inch. Filter media. It's really pretty comparable. I originally had thought the Donaldson might have been a little lower quality. I'm thinking now it's just old and used. The pleats on this are slightly deeper, so even though it's a smaller in diameter filter, their surface area should be about the same, if not maybe a touch larger. I tried very hard to look up the surface area of this online. That would be the filter unrolled, and about 15-20 minutes of work on it didn't come up with anything. So it's not going to be a massive difference as far as total surface area, which is unfortunate. It has a smaller intake, which is fine because it's still quite large compared to what's in the truck. And though you can't really tell it, there is a taper built into the filter itself, so that when it's in the compartment, you can get your fingers in alongside. So that first bit of filter is now going to have easy engine air access. That is simply going to have the effect of making it a bigger filter. It just is. You have got this band. You can see it on my filter right here, right? Dirty, clean. You've got this band that is underutilized. You got this little bit of an intermediate gray area. I assume it's done that way because it makes it a very solid, easy to install seal. But if you're asking air to come through this component of the filter, you're asking it to slip along the pleats, and that's just not very efficient. This one, it will have a much larger gap for it to go. I really do think you guys with the turbos, the ones who can pull so much more air so fast, I think this might show some benefits. I don't know, we'll put it on my truck and see what it does. One difference, I can get them really, really close. But like I said, this isn't the factory filter. I can get them really, really close. That one is a 1/4 of an inch shorter. It is shorter by the thickness of that gasket, and that will have to be addressed. So your filter is pushing on this ring right here, and that's how it gets its seal. There's my filter modified, but this will work for us to find out if this is even an avenue worth pursuing. I do believe it will be, and I think it really will be for you guys that are turboed. But let's find out how it works on mine, and I'll let you know. But this is now ready to go in the hole, and you'll get a chance to see the fairly serious difference between the two of them. So here's the fleet guard in place, and you can see that gap. Now remember, on the original, well, mine's a Donaldson, but on the original filter, that ring is basically tight. So all I've done now is extend, for all practical purposes, the length of my air cleaner by about, I don't know, 3.5, 4 inches. That's a substantial gain, and I believe you will see performance increases because of it. I also think you'll see longer lifespans, because you're not going to seriously plug the end 2/3, then force it to draw at the front. You're going to actually plug the entire thing a little slower. Now, my test should be simple and pretty accurate, if not overly scientific. I got a hill just outside of town. With my stock Donaldson, before I cleaned it, I was in third gear twice, once in the bottom half and all of the top half. With my stock Donaldson filter, after I cleaned it, I was in third gear once, all of the top half. We should be able to gauge performance simply off of that. The only real variable, it's a little lighter on fuel than it was then. I'll fill it first, and it's windy today. I don't know if that'll mean headwinds or crosswinds or whatnot, but I figure it's within the scope. Alright, recapping the test. We ended up back in third, climbing the top of the hill. We did not end up in second like the dirty Donaldson, though we did end up in third with the clean Donaldson, the stock filter. I was able to hold fourth gear about another, I thought it was a mile. It's probably closer to a half mile. I was able to hold fourth gear for about another half mile up the hill, and I was able to hold a higher top speed throughout the entire climb. I'm carrying about 30 more gallons of fuel than I was before, and I'm bucking a steady headwind. It's less up here at the top than it was at the bottom, so we'll call it 15 to 20, though at the bottom it was clearly higher than that. Overall, I'd say that there is a noticeable performance increase. It is not a massive kick in the ass, but it's there. The truck is also blowing some black smoke as it climbs the hill. It's never done that before. Steady plume, not thick, but I can see it coming out the pipes. I don't know what that means. I would assume the smoke would lean out with more air, but maybe I'm not taking into account an air sensor or mass flow sensor of some sort. So I might be over-dumbing the motor. I'd have to look it up in the book. Well, I think that was a reasonable success. So let's get this canister back off and get that new mount made, because I do not like the air cleaner sitting down. And I want it centered. I want it as close to factory as possible, and I believe I know how to do that. Upon removing that filter, you can see how it was off-centered, how it was just hanging down there. But look at that divot. On one hand, I like it because it means I got a nice tight seal. But I was trying to understand why I have it, why it should be so deep. And then it dawned on me, I'm being an idiot. The old filter doesn't ride on that lip. It doesn't ride right here. It rides right here. So these are not too short. That was dumb of me. Anyways, I'm leaving it on there because the foam I use kind of a one-shot deal. But it rides right here, so I was just being retarded. Alright, here's my centering solution. It's not the most elegant thing I've ever made, but we lost power about half hour ago, and I'm working with what I got. And what I've got here is the wire metal frame to a real estate sign, and these are bent up extra long so that when you drop the element in, it's held centered, and when I go, I'll just put the entire cup on. She'll be perfect. Hold her right up in there, nice and dandy. And I've just got them held in there with those hose clamps, and we all have a box of those hose clamps. They're the ones that we bought by mistake, thinking they would hold our 3/8 fuel filters on, only to find out they're too small. I think everybody has a box of those. Well, this is a use for them, finally. First one I've found. Now I'm going to go button this truck up because I don't like the airbox being open when it's this windy. Yep, that ought to work. And then when it comes time to swap out that filter, I'll just, I don't know, if I like what I see, if it worked really well, I'll replace my hose clampy things with some actual bent up little bars of steel. Mimic those, only taller. Just tack weld them on. It'll be fine. And there it is, all installed. And when I install these, I like to, I'll generally hook it, hang it off that top clamp up there, and then I'll work them around in a circle, kind of like a car lug nut, and you know, grab the thing and shake it really hard, and you know, just try to work it into that groove. And I like it when all of my clamps have the same tension on them. For whatever reason, that bottom one is always a little easier than I like, but I like to know that things are really squished down there tightly. But there you go. On price alone, I don't think you can go wrong with that modification. I did see some improvement, not as much as I was hoping, but maybe at the other end of the filter lifespan I'll see the improvement there. But I know, I mean, here it is sitting on the ground. The line, the high water line, is obvious right there. That's all you need to know. That is all the proof you need that these things don't suck from the first third of the filter. They're just not working. This way you use all of it. I'm sure the military does it as like a backup thing, you know. I bet it triggers the filter change gauge, and yet the filter is capable of continuing for quite some time at a vastly reduced rate. You know, everything they do is designed for endurance, survivability. But the high water mark is just painfully obvious on that. That is a filter that is only sucking from here to here. All of that is covered. So if nothing else, I got a bigger filter in there because I'm using all of it.